It is currently 10:13 a.m. on the 11th, 6th of July. Why did I think it was the 11th? I've just had my shower, got ready, etc. Got a long day of sales ahead, which is always exciting. I'm not going to say who the meetings are with, but it's with a broad selection of companies in a certain offer, which we're going to be rebranding, reselling, and become a distribution layer for this offer, hopefully, if all things go well. So I've got about 6-7 calls today, which is it's a lot of calls, and I'm gonna be tired. So that's why, fear not, that is why we've packed ourselves up with everything that we could possibly need. So we've got 2 monsters, Java Monster, along with 2 of the only drinkable sparkling water, which is San Pellegrino. So yeah, I've got 2 more in the bag over there. But I just thought, it'd be a nice way to keep me motivated through the day. Some people like snacks, right? I'm a drinks kind of guy. I like my drinks, right? And let me just show you that to like the fullest extent, right? Every morning, I don't eat breakfast. I intermittent fast, so I have a Huel. Because sometimes if I'm extra hungry, I'll have 2 Huels, right? Which is what I did today. Huel, I heavily rate. If you're not on it, get on it. It's the best morning breakfast ever, just because anyone who works with a mental job, right? I mean, it's not too bad when you're working labour. I've done it working labour. It's just, don't make a difference. If anything, you want to eat more food. But with sort of sales jobs and using your head a lot, etc., then it is always helpful to not have carbs digesting midway through a phone call. Otherwise, you feel like you're falling asleep, and then you're not going to get any sales for the rest of the calendar year. So yeah, that's my counter. We got 2 packs in for the day, so after we're ready we're dialed in to get some sales. So yeah, that's something I didn't mention in the first video about me, right? This is a true fact. I used to be the heaviest smoker, or one of the heaviest smokers I knew, right? I was probably smoking around a pack to 2 packs a day. Marlboro Golds. You don't get many Marlboro Reds in the UK. I smoked a lot of Marlboro Golds, a few Marlboro Reds, and L&B Blues. L&B Blues are my kryptonite. No. Lambert and Butler's the bastards. So yeah, I've not had a cigarette now in probably over a month, maybe 2 months now. So just switched to Zins or Velos, and yeah, I don't think I could go back, to be fair. So no, sometimes you do just want a cigarette, but no, nowhere near as badly as I used to. So I think for the most part, I don't vape either. So I think smoking's just more or less out of my life, which is quite nice. Yeah, what else is it to say? No, I've been on a bit of a health kick, I suppose. I've been trying to get my health better. I think everyone is though, right? Why wouldn't you want your health better? I'm trying to think what else to say. Yesterday was pretty rough. I'm not going to pretend yesterday wasn't rough. It was. I was in my own head a lot yesterday. Today I feel calmer, feel better. Don't feel as stressed, so to speak. Or as down, actually. I wasn't stressed. I think I was just more so down. I don't like Sundays sometimes, because as much as it's meant to be the day of Sabbath, I get stressed because nothing's moving with the business, which I know I shouldn't, but I do. That's something I need to work on, something I need to bring to the Lord. Yeah. I think working on my faith is something which I need to focus on coherently with the work. I think building my faith stronger and stronger is essential. So, yeah, we got a long way to go in terms of that. But I have faith. Which is sort of the whole point. So, yeah. I don't really know what to say to the camera. I'd like to stop recording and start saying something philosophical or restart with something smart, but I think the whole point of this was to keep it raw, to keep it honest, and that's what I intend on doing. So, yeah, keeping it raw and honest. Yeah, I mean, I could speak about a lot of things on it. I'm just not sure how quick and how deep to go. So, what's been playing on my mind? well, I have got this weird thing about me. I don't know if anyone can relate, and maybe if you're a young entrepreneur, you can relate. But I will not stop, like, ever. Like, and I literally mean I won't stop. All day, I am thinking about business. Like, literally, from the second I wake up to the second I go to sleep, I'm thinking about business. And yes, it is exhausting. Thank you for asking. It's brutal. It's terrible. It's a curse. But I also know that curse will only be lifted when the business is like at least 20 bill, 30 bill. Then it'll start to go away. Or maybe that's just what I'm telling myself, and it's actually just gonna get worse, and I need to like prepare myself now for that. But no, in all truth, I do. I think about it, all day, every day, and I have done for like the last 10 years, and it's put me in some interesting places. I'll tell you that much. No, story time. I'm 16 years old, and I can't believe I'm telling the story on it. I feel like you guys need a story or something to keep you entertained. Otherwise, what's the point in watching? Plus, you can find out a bit about me through the story. So, I had a friend who was a girlfriend for a little bit, but mostly a friend in high school. And I went to 2 high schools, and this was in my second high school. I switched high schools in like year 10, so for any Americans out there, I would have been about 15 years old probably. So my second to last year of high school. But I transferred midway through that second to last year, so I sort of had a year and 6 months more or less in this school. Anyway, and that's when I met this friend of mine, right? And she was lovely, hung out frequently, and we became very, very close. Now, come a year later, and this is just story to get context on me. So a year later, the prom's coming up, high school prom, right? And it was hosted at about as nice as a high school prom gets, to be quite frank. And it was on I think it was on the Monday or the Sunday. I can't remember specifically if it was the Monday or the Sunday the prom was being hosted on. However, 2 days prior to this, I had basically just closed like 30k in sales, right? I was absolutely gassed. I was like 15 years old. I was raking it in. I was pretty gassed. And it was my first like high ticket commission calls, etc. And I mean, what's a 15-year-old going to do with like 15 to 30 grand, right? Well, I'm sure you can imagine, because my passport had expired that year. And so I obviously sort of, ordered a new one. It arrives, and I go to my mum's bedroom. I'm like, oh, mum, my passport's arrived, da-da-da-da-da. And she's like, oh, that's good, we can go on holidays next year and stuff like that. And I said, well, that's the thing. I said, I want to stretch its legs. And she's like, what do you mean you want to stretch its legs? And I'm like, well, I said, what if I just took a little flight to Paris? Just to stretch the legs of the passport, get a few stamps on it, do something with it. She's like, you've just got your passport. You're 15 years old and you want to go on your own to Paris. And I'm like, yeah, fuck it, why not? So sure enough, I booked an Uber, called up one of my colleagues at the time, and was like, mate, I'm going to Paris, give us a hand. He sure enough gave us a hand, sorting logistics out, etc. And yeah, I ended up, I brought 2 things with me. I brought my weekend bag, it was like a Hugo Boss leather weekend bag. And I brought, what else was it? I bought a pack of cigs. I think that was about it. I think it was a pack of cigarettes and a weekend bag. But I genuinely, I couldn't tell you how I didn't get stopped at the airport once, twice. I couldn't tell you how I didn't get stopped. I mean, I was just, I was 15. I don't think anyone really gave a shit. So I get to Paris. Turns out I flew to the wrong airport because I booked the wrong flight, which was just brilliant. So I was at this airport, which is just outside of Paris, which I call La Baguette because it sounded a lot like La Baguette, even though any French people watching this right now are probably like cringing at me saying that. It looked like it said La Baguette, so it's La Baguette Airport. Plus it's French, so I feel like baguette's quite fitting. Anyway, so I'm at Baguette Airport, and I'm like, sort of checking Google Maps. I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'll just get an Uber, calm, whatever, right? No, I won't just get an Uber, because it's an hour. It's over an hour's drive, and I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. So either way, lo and behold, my only solution was to call some dodgy taxi company, right? This guy messages me, not from a business number, but from his personal number, no profile picture on WhatsApp, right? And he's like, yo bro,
he's like, lift here, and I'm like, where are you? Because I'm waiting in like the taxi part right outside the airport, and there's like obviously the buses. If you've ever been to the airport, you'll know where it is, right? But you got all the buses there. It's a tiny little airport. You got all the buses. Then you got like the taxi park, right? So I'm at the taxi park waiting for where I thought my driver would be, right? No. This guy's parked on the other end of the airport, right? The complete other end of the airport. And he's driving some black sedan, right? This thing's from like 2013. It's got duct tape on it. The reg is like the dirtiest thing you've ever seen. Like you couldn't, if you were a police, you would not read it that reg. I'm telling you now, right? No stickers to suggest it was a driving vehicle, anything like that. Blacked out windows in the back, run down. I'm like, mate, I'm going to get kidnapped. I'm dead. Like, this is it. They're extorting me for money. I'm gone. This is it, right? This guy was such a G, right? I have my cigarette. I'm walking over to the car, and he's like, "Nah, bro, just take it in the car." And I'm like, at first, I'll admit, I thought, yeah, definitely he's gonna kill me. There's no way he's just letting me smoke in the car. He's trying to hurry me in. I'm like, nah, fuck it. You know what? So I light one up in the car, and I just start chatting to this guy for like an hour, 2 hours on the drive into central Paris. What an absolute G, bro, right? If he's watching this now, I remember his name. I'm pretty sure I still follow him on Instagram, right? Absolute G. And I'm pretty sure he's got a daughter as well. So God bless to your daughter if you're watching this. But yeah, man. And then when I got to Paris safely, I was like, I told him at the very end, I was like, I think it wasn't at the very end, but it was just we were crossing that like famous bridge in Paris, right? And I looked at him and I sort of tapped him on the shoulder and I was like, mate, I'm gonna be so real with you. And he goes, what is it? And I'm like, I genuinely was like 99% convinced you were going to kill me. And he starts pissing himself. And I'm like, so I have got to ask. And he's like, go on. I'm like, why haven't you got this, and this? He's like, don't need it. I'm like, fair play, mate. So, yeah. Random little story. So anyway, I get to Paris. And what was the first thing? I pulled up to you can search this hotel up actually, just so you can know I'm not bullshit. It's like the Britannia, or is it the Britannia or Britannica or something like that? I'm pretty sure it's got a Q in it somewhere. I'll show you it now. It's like red inside, because I remember I sat with a bottle. There was like a stair. It was like steps, right, and it took you down into like this like underground lounge, and it was just like bottles of champagnes and like windows from like where you could see the high street up top. I'll show you. I'm trying to see what it's. Oh, Britannique. Oh, I don't know how to fuck you. It is. Dude, this is literally it. I found it. Oh my gosh. Right. This was the hotel I stayed in, right? I completely fucked up the spelling, I think. But this was the lounge. This is exactly what I'm on about. This is the exact lounge I was on about. I was sat in there on my own, right? 15 years old. I got a bottle of champagne, right? That was the lounge I was sat in. You can see what I mean about the windows. And I was sat, I'm pretty sure, on that couch. There's a bookshelf. There it is. Yeah. Okay, so that's where it was, right? 15-year-old, right? I'm sat there. I'm like, this is cool, whatever. It's not like late. It's like 9 p.m.ish, right? So it's getting late. Turns out, I kid you not, right? I went during the middle of Fashion Week, right? Didn't mean to. So I call up my friend, right? And I don't know what to call her for this story. So for the purpose of entertainment, we will call her... We'll call her Evie for the purpose of the story, right? Actually, no, Evie's probably not a good name. I knew a nice Evie once. And she was scaly. We will call her Arabella, right? Why not? Arabella works. So either way, Arabella, I call up, and I'm like, and by the way, I'm taking this girl to the prom, by the way, right? I'm taking this girl on the prom on the Sunday or Monday. I can't remember which one it was, right? Either way, so I call her up and I'm like, hey, I'm in Paris, and she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in Paris, and she's like, we've got prom in 2 days, and I'm like, I know. So I'll be back. Oh, it was the Monday, because I was back the Sunday. I was like, yeah, I'll be back. And she's like, obviously fuming, right? Surely enough, I made it back in time, but we'll get into that in a second. So, I'm at this place, right? The first night in, I literally just got a bottle of champagne. I'm pretty sure I ordered some food, and I crashed out, right? I was pretty shattered. I've been travelling all day. You know what I mean? I was in England 6 hours ago. Now I'm tired, right? Wake up the next morning. Now, this was my Saturday, so I had the full day here to just, like, travel, enjoy Paris for a day, right? This is what the whole trip was for. So I went to the Eiffel Tower. I got a picture with the Eiffel Tower. I'm gonna pull up my Facebook right now so you can see some of these OG. I'm hoping I still got them actually. Here we are. This is on my Facebook. This was me just walking past. I was gonna take one of those big aesthetic photos with it, and I was like, bro, I'm on my own. I'm gonna look so fucking stupid if I'm just like asking a stranger to take a photo of me on my own in front of the Eiffel Tower like that. So that never happened. So I did take a lot of photos for couples though, right? And I wanted to blend in as well. The last thing I wanted to do was be out on my own at 15 looking like a tourist. So obviously I just did the most obvious thing, right? I went for the most like Paris Fashion Week undercover outfit. You would have thought I was a local, right? You ready for this? I had jeans on, normal pair of trainers, cheap like navy blue hoodie, and wired earphones. Right now, if you know anything, yeah, about blending in, wired earphones are the way to go. No one notices the guy with wired earphones. No one it's just quiet, inconspicuous, right? I didn't get any looks, not once. No one looked at me. No one made any funny comments. No one suggested I was too young to be anywhere, which you would think would happen later that night. So I've just spent a whole day, right? I've been literally just been smoking cigarettes at a cafe outside the Eiffel Tower. Saw that, all the fancy, iconic Paris shit, right? I just walked the city, and bear in mind, I love walking. I can walk 30 miles in a day, right? Love it. So I've walked back and forth across the entire city or the side streets. Saw Kanye at one point, not like properly. He was just walking into a building, but we're in this I was walking on this really fancy street in Paris, in like central Paris, and then it was by a hotel. It's where all the celebs stay, right? I don't know what the hotel's called, but there was tons of camera crews out there and stuff like that. Either way, so I keep walking down the side street near this hotel, and there's just like a blacked out Mercedes V class, and I was like, So I'm sort of just walking past, but these things are lined up. There's not one V class. There's like V class in front of a V class in front of a V class. Like the whole strip is just like Mercs, right? And sure enough, there's like this huge like white banker looking building, right? It's not. I don't think it was a bank though. I think it was just like a fancy private members network dinner hub bullshit, right? That's when I saw him walking across, and I was like, it's only me here, by the way, right? I mean, there was like 2 security guys standing there. One followed in it, and one was by the door. And then there's him walking in, and I'm just on my own on this street, and I'm sort of looking around. I'm like, no one is ever gonna fucking believe me on what just happened. But that's completely fine. I also had that day, I did see one of my absolute most like all-time celebrity crushes, right? Which was, we're not revealing this, right? I got to see my celebrity crush then. Yeah, not going any further than that. I was so gassed, right? Anyway, so later that night, I had walked off from, where was it? Like, what's that big triangle glass thing from? I walked from there back to the Britannique, whatever the hotel's called, right? Walked back to the hotel. I get in, and I've got like this cool guy at reception, so we're chatting. He's like, "Oh, I refilled your bar for room service." I'm like, "Oh, cool." So I go in there, and I have a few drinks, have a couple of bottles of wine. I know I've got to be up early tomorrow because I've got a flight, right? I see it's maybe 6 p.m. I got some sushi with me. I bought one of those like sushi packets from like the shops, whatever. I just wanted a chill dinner. I know, who the fuck goes to Paris and eats sushi? I don't know. I did go to a fancy restaurant for lunch, but I'm not gonna lie, I had a steak tartare, beef tartare, fucking mid, you know what I mean? It tastes like raw mince in a pan with fucking seasoning. Bit of wank really, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, after my wank fancy lunch, went back to the hotel, had a few pre-drinks, right? And they weren't meant to be pre-drinks, they were meant to just be drinks, right? And I was going to stay in. But no, because after that third bottle of wine, I went back down to that lounge where the champagne lounge was, right? I'm dressed up a little bit more, and there's a bar across the road. Like I said, it was packed. The streets were absolutely ram-packed, right? Everywhere you went, there was just people. And so I'm like, fuck it. I go into this bar literally across the road. I got free drinks the entire night because I made friends with the bar lady. And I just got pissed in Paris. I can tell you exactly what I ordered as well because I remember it. I ordered 3 shots of vodka and a pint, right? I downed all those 3 shots of vodka, down the pint. By the way, just to be clear, before you judge my parents, they had absolutely zero fucking idea I was getting up to absolutely any of this, right? Because lo and behold, who would think a 15-year-old would actually get into a nightclub in Paris, right? Probably no one. So yeah, and obviously my 360, my life 360, you said I was at the hotel, so I was like, yeah, fuck it, it was literally next door, no one's gonna notice. So yeah, you know, got pissed, had a great time. Came back, then no, sorry, I didn't sleep this night. This was the important part of the story, right? I did not sleep this entire fucking night, right? Because I'm like, you know, when you're drunk and you're like, if I go to sleep now, I'm not gonna be awake by 9 a.m. I'd be better off just staying up. It's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be sluggish, but I'll be better off just staying up, right? So, sure enough, I stayed up for the night, and then I got my, what's it called, like the receptionist guy I was just speaking about. Got him to book me a V class because I was obsessed with V classes now. Just seen like 30 of them, Kanye and shit. Like, what? Anyway, booked a V class. Went straight from Paris back to that fucking airport all the way out. Right? Cool guy, different guy, whatever. Right? When I get there, I was waiting for maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. Turns out the airport was tiny, right? I'm used to like Heathrow, Manchester, you know, DBX. You know, I'm used to these big airports. You know, New York, JFK. This is a tiny airport. This is a tiny airport, and so you didn't need to be that hours early like I was. But what was I gonna do? Head back to the hotel, recheck in, and wait? No. So instead, I'm hungover, 15 years old, shattered in the airport, waiting right to get back. And obviously, sure enough, I actually ended up making it back. And then had a prom. I then got kicked out of prom in the first 5 minutes, but I think we should save that for a second story time because we're on 21 minutes here already. So if you guys enjoyed this story time, let me know, and I will tell you guys about what happened when I got back and then got kicked out of prom, and we can keep learning more about me and talking about life. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. That was a fun little morning story. I had a good time with that.